All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's begin. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests. Welcome to the Joint Force Readiness Center. Today, Major Henry will be promoted to the rank of Lieutenant Colonel. We will start the ceremony today by the playing of the national anthem. Please take your seats. At this time, I'd like to recognize today's distinguished guests, B.G. Nesbitt, the ATAG, B.G. Alkire, the Director of the Joint Staff, Colonel Meyer, the Chief of Staff, Colonel Thompson, the CFMO, Colonel Nazardine, the Director of Personnel, Colonel Alkire, the 94th Troop Command Commander, Lieutenant Colonel Troche, the S6, CW5 Dros, the Command Chief Warrant Officer, CW5 Roberts, the Data Processing Manager, State Command Sergeant Major Harold Papper, the State Command Sergeant Major, Sergeant Major Schmidt, the 94th Troop Command Sergeant Major, and Sergeant Major Hable, the G1 Sergeant Major. Major Henry, please introduce your guests.
Thank you. All right, so seated in the front row is my brother, my little brother, Kenny. Diana and my dad Ken, and then my daughter Aspen, and my son Hudson, and my mother-in-law Sue, my father-in-law Mo, and then Taylor, Lily, and Rihanna. And then we have Danielle, Gum, and then I think some other family members in the back. Thank you.
Major Henry began her career in the Reserve Officer Training Corps with the University of Wyoming in August 2001. After receiving her commission in May 2005, she was the first finance officer assigned to the Wyoming Army National Guard. In 2009, she deployed as a platoon leader with the 960th BSB to Ali Al Salim, Kuwait. Upon return from the deployment, she was assigned to the Battalion S4 and later selected to command HHC for the 960th BSB. In 2013, she completed the Quartermaster Captain's Career Course and branch transferred to logistics. After being selected to serve as officer in charge for medical detachment in 2014, she transitioned from Federal Technician to AGR. She was selected to command the Officer Candidate School for a little over a year, where she was management direct reassigned to the executive officer position within RRB. In 2016, she changed career paths and branch transferred again to the Adjutant General after graduating from Human Resources Management Qualification course. While in recruiting, she had the opportunity to be the acting battalion commander for a little over 7 months. In 2019, Major Henry completed the Advanced Operations course. She has 7 years of federal technician employment in the U.S. Property and Fiscal Office and Human Resource Office. Presently, she is serving as the Deputy Director for Personnel. Major Henry is happily married and has 2 children, Aspen and Hudson. It wasn't supposed to be funny. All right, B.G. Nesbitt, please come forward. Major Henry, post. Hey kids, come on up here. Aspen, Hudson, come on. Attention to orders. Headquarters, Department of the Army and Air Force, National Guard Bureau, Washington, D.C. The Secretaries of the Army and Air Force have reposed special trust, confidence in the patriotism, valor, fidelity, and professional excellence of Major Amy Henry. In view of these qualities and demonstrated leadership potential and dedicated service to the Wyoming Army National Guard, she is therefore promoted to the rank of Lieutenant Colonel, effective 13 April 2020. By orders of the Secretary of the Army and Air Force, signed Joseph L. Lingell, General, U.S. Air Force, Chief, National Guard Bureau. This is where you could take pictures. Let's give a round of applause. All right, Lieutenant Colonel Henry, you can sit down. General Nesbitt, sir, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Hey, so, you know what? This is a really a great day for the Wyoming Guard, because you know what? We need really good leaders. And you all today are joining together to recognize one of our cream of the crop, one of our great leaders, one of those leaders who reflects the values and the culture of the Wyoming Army National Guard, Amy Henry. You know, I did notice a couple of things. I noticed the other night, there's something about rank that makes her shoot better, because at the trap range, she could really shoot the other night. I mean, she was knocking them down. The other thing that I thought was interesting is I told, you know, one of my jobs as the ATAG is to provide a little bit of mentorship. So I did provide a little bit of mentorship to Major Casey Henry the other day, and I told him that he probably needs to take just a little bit different approach now when he is told to take out the trash. And that, you know what, his response probably ought to change just a little bit from what it's been in the past. And that he probably ought to expect that if he doesn't do it quite right, he might get corrected. And that's okay. That's all right. He probably needs it. I'm just guessing. So, you know, Major Henry and I, or Colonel Henry and I, go back a long time. I feel very fortunate that I've had the opportunity to serve with her for a long period of time. And I'll tell you that I remember very fondly. She probably doesn't remember it quite as fondly. Some days in the deserts of Kuwait where we sat and talked about frustrations, and at that time Lieutenant Henry talked to me about the challenges she was facing and how at times they seemed insurmountable. And you know what? She is one of those officers who takes those most difficult times and figures out how to grow from them. And I'm just so damn proud of her today to look at what she's done for our organization and how she's grown and how she's matured and what a strong leader she's become for our organization. I look forward to more out of her. This is a good day to be promoted to Lieutenant Colonel. We're going to ask a lot of you, but I see a very, very bright future for Lieutenant Colonel Henry down the road. And I know all of you here, this is a great turnout. I appreciate y'all coming. And you know, the other thing that's always important to note is that you don't get to achieve greatness like this outstanding field grade officer has without a family that helps support her along the way and deals with adversity when she's gone. Yeah, you know what to say there. But you know, you've had to deal with Amy being gone for long periods of time. You've had to deal with, you know, times when she's had to work a lot. I remember not too long ago when we really stacked it on her for a short period of time and we needed some help. The point in the spear of the highest priority for the Army Guard in recruiting and retention. And every time we've asked her to do something, she stepped up to the challenge and done it exceptionally well. And so you should be damn proud of her too. So, thank you.
Thank you, General Nesbitt. Lieutenant Colonel Henry, ma'am, the floor is yours. Let me make this lower for you.
Where's the step stool? All right. Thank you, General Nesbitt. I really appreciate your kind words and your time today. I know that it's been a very hectic day and a hectic weekend for the Army National Guard, so thank you. Well, the last few weeks have been surreal to be called Lieutenant Colonel Henry. It's crazy how slow the days go, but how fast the weeks and months and years have went. If I had to pick the hardest ranks in my career, I'd say that being a first lieutenant and being a major. My career during both of these time periods led me to consider getting out of this military, mostly because I was challenged way outside my comfort zone. Earlier this week, retired Command Sergeant Major Winnie, my first sergeant when I was a lieutenant, when we were deployed, shot me a text and said, "It's hard to believe several years ago you didn't even think you would make it to captain." And that's very true. But thanks to my NCOs at that time, Sergeant Major Winnie, First Sergeant Hanlon, Sergeant Woody, and the other NCOs in the 960th, they really helped develop who I'd become as an officer. And, you know, as a lieutenant, that has to be a tough job for them. So the past few years, I really learned what the meaning of an Iron Major was. I want to, thank Brigadier General Alkire for empowering me to accomplish much more than I thought would be possible. The year I started AOC, I was also accepted into Leadership Wyoming, and I was doing double duty in recruiting as the XO and the acting battalion commander. Aspen was only 6, and Hudson was only 3. Casey at that time was a part of the 24-hour response CST. Life was full to the brim. And let me restate it, I was enrolled in the Advanced Operations course for officers. For those of you who know me well, I'm not a military history guru. I didn't grow up playing G.I. Joes and figuring out who the red team would be, and I have no idea when it comes to capabilities of weapon systems. I hated AOC. I completely was out of my comfort zone, and I wanted to quit. After the first 3 weeks, I asked then Colonel Alkire if I could drop out, and guess what he told me? Nope. My lack of knowledge in the course requirements and the time that it demanded was exhausting. I would continue to ask him every few weeks, always getting the same answer. Then one abnormal day, I must have really looked desperate, he finally said, "Okay, but remember, you're going to have to start this course again." I was already 3 painful months in at this time of the 12-month course. Exciting, right? No. I didn't realize I had one more person that I had to get permission from who was a fellow classmate, Colonel Norman. Once I told him I was going to drop AOC, he immediately began encouraging me and telling me it wasn't bad. I guess compared to law school, it isn't that bad. He didn't let me off that easy, telling me that if I quit, he would be failing. Let that sink in. If I quit the course, he would be failing. Yeah, that brought on a guilt trip. So, with the long story, here I stand, alive and well. I survived AOC, graduating on the 24th of September, 2018, the best day ever. Also, recruiting battalion was taken over by an excellent leader, Lieutenant Colonel Pozeski, and they're killing it right now. They're #1 in the nation, and I want to say good job to them, and thanks for your mentorship and your time to help me through getting through my last final years as Iron Major. During this time, I also want to thank Colonel Huss and retired Colonel Guy Bedoin for mentoring me. I went and had lunch with them and told them how I had planned to resign my commission and start a civilian career, and they both helped keep me in the uniform. And I want to thank Casey and our kids for patiently waiting for me to make it through that chaotic time as an absent mom and an absent wife. I want to also thank Casey for encouraging me to apply for the Deputy G1 position, which got me this promotion. I was not ready to leave the recruiting battalion, and I was adamant that I was not going to apply. So when challenges continue to come up in my life, I remind myself that my track record for surviving the bad days is 100%, and I feel like that's pretty good. So to close this out, I want to thank a few more people. I want to start with thanking my mom, Sid. She inspired me to be strong and a hardworking person I am today. At the age of 39, she completed the police academy and then completed a 20-year career with the sheriff's office, and then she successfully started a business as a small business owner for 15 years. She's been a great example for me to follow. Thanks to my dad, Ken, who's here today. Much like my AOC story above, many times throughout my life, he's given me the tough love I needed, like taking away my car in high school when my grades were low, which was a big deal, or not letting me drop my accounting degree to go for something easier. My brother, known to my kids as Funkle Kenny, thanks for your daily inspiration. I appreciate the personal and professional development books, the articles, the text messages, and the quotes that I get throughout the week and months. Growing up, you never liked your little sister. Thankfully, you overcame that. I'd like to thank my in-laws, Sue and Mo, and Steve and Delinda, who are watching this via Facebook Live. Without you guys, we both would not be able to have the military career we have. We're both in challenging, very busy positions, and they're constantly there to step up and take care of our dog and our 2 children, and I really appreciate that. It's a very big help to us. Thank you. I'd like to thank my good friend Rihanna for spending the last 9 years. Since Aspen was only 3 months old, she's been watching our kids, and I don't know, after this COVID homeschool parenting gig, I have no idea how she does it. She watches the kids for 10 to 12 hours a day. She's definitely an angel, because I couldn't do it. I tapped out. So thank you. Thanks to the Public Affairs Office for videoing this for my friends and family to watch. I want to say hi to my grandfather John and my Aunt Kathy from Rock Springs, and hello to the South Dakota family. I know that Grandma Phil, Papa John, Aunt Sherry, and Aunt Brenda are watching as well. There are so many of you here today that I haven't had an opportunity to thank, but you've made a huge impact on my career. I really value and appreciate my time with you. Last thing, I'd like to take a moment of silence for retired Lieutenant Colonel Dean Hunhoff, who lost his battle to cancer 1 year ago tomorrow. Lieutenant Colonel Hunhoff was a very close mentor and was my MC for my promotion to major. What I wouldn't give to have him here today. I will continue to strive to be the passionate and energetic leader that he was. Thanks again to everyone for coming today. Being promoted to the rank of Lieutenant Colonel is a very high honor. I am very fortunate to be a part of this great organization. And thanks again to Casey for being my MC today. What a fun experience.
Thank you all for attending today's ceremony. In light of the COVID measures, we will not have a reception line following this ceremony. But please join us for some refreshments out there in the back. Have a great day. Thank you for coming.